So the task at hand today, give these wheels a good shake. Make sure the wheel bearings are in good shape before we tear the tires, wheels and tires off. Then we're going to pull the struts out. And take them off to the shop that's going to be handling the alignment. The engine's all in. No oil or coolant yet, but it's ready for it. I haven't decided on what break-in oil I want to use yet. You know, at the same time, we're probably going to pull those front rotors off and take those down at the same time and let them turn them. I get a good deal on the swapping the struts over. I do a lot of business with these guys. Like I said, they do my alignments as well, and so I just take them down there, and it mitigates all the risk for me. There's a lot of risk involved in undoing springs. I don't like it. I know you can rent tools from AutoZone or O'Reilly's, but I haven't found any that I've really liked that I felt comfortable using, and they've got all the proper safety equipment. So I think I get charged, I don't know, $10 each or something, whatever. So I'll find a spot to get you set up, and we'll give these wheels and tires a good shake. Good. So I'm going to pull the wheels and tires off, and we'll start disassembly. So the first thing we're going to do is take care of this speed sensor here, wheel speed sensor. Again, I like to put the nuts and bolts back where they go. Oops. And then over here on the other side, you've got the brake line. So we're just going to undo that. Then it's a matter of the two big bolts. Now, if you were just disassembling this to do something, you might want to mark the upper bolt so that you know where to set your camber. But in our case, it's all going to change anyways. We've got so much new stuff going on, so it's going to get a full alignment regardless. So let's bust these off. She's tight. See if we can get you a better view. Okay, so she's free. Sorry about bumping into you there. I know we're supposed to be social distancing. So the next thing is the 3 nuts up here. They're Stover nuts. And that one's gone forever. No, it isn't. There we go. Now with this last one, it should just fall out. Oop. There it is. There she is. It's a boy. All right. All that stuff is free. And wash, rinse, and repeat for the other sides. Let's take off the other one. So everything in the front here is pretty tight, and I'm guessing somebody got in there with an impact and, you know, had done some work to it previously. That long-handled extension you just saw me using, long-handled ratchet, man, that thing is going to come in clutch here after a while. And there's another thing that's going to end up happening here later in the video, where the those over-torqued things are going to come into play. Anyways, you're about to see me do something here that's, I don't know, maybe a bit hillbilly, maybe a little hick. You know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And, you know, I got every variation that I can think of, so that's what I ended up having to do to get that bolt to turn. You know, this is an unfortunate reality of working on jack stands in your car, or in your garage, rather. Working on jack stands in your garage. You know, when you're doing suspension components, there's just not enough room underneath there to really swing, you know, big ratchets, big wrenches, you know, and really get a lot of leverage on them. So, like I said, you just gotta do what you gotta do. Of course, you try to do everything that you can. You know, impacts, yeah, it's not really touching it. Breaker bar, that would do it if you had, you know, if you could move it. There's that long-handled ratchet again. That's not really doing it either. No, well, now we've done what we need to do. Those two on the lower portion of the strut, they're always tight. Always. Folks just saw, but man, that was a pain. Okay, so now the task at hand is to gain access to the two nuts holding on the upper strut mount, so that those rear struts will fall out of the way, and then we can take those down to the shop and have them all swapped over. So I'm going to clear this stuff out and get to them. All right. So the reason why all that stuff hadn't been reinstalled yet is because I know that the paintless dent repair guy is coming out to deal with the dent in that passenger side rear quarter panel. And so I was just trying to make it easy for him, get him a lot of access to the back side of it, you know, if he needed it to push that dent out. So, turning wrenches, but the reality of it is fuck it. Today's just one of those days. Now that's a motion I'm used to. No such luck on this side here. What is she hung up on down there? Herself. Let's go get a hammer. Maybe this block of wood right here will work. All right. And just like that, those tired struts are out. Man, getting those lower struts out was the strut nuts was such a pain. The rest of this is going to be difficult. Arguably, those ones up in here on this side, and here are the most difficult. Just because there's no room, you know. There's no room to work. I think what they do is they assemble most of all of this on the subframe here, and then lift it up into the car. But we're not doing that. All right, well, let me figure out what comes next. So now we got to disassemble the brakes, and you're looking at the back side. The strut would be here, just to give you some context. So we're going to pull these 212s and whatever size those are, and then the caliper bracket. I've got a hook here that I'm going to use to hang the caliper once I get it off, and then we'll be able to remove the front rotor, but this axle also has to come out. The inside, the transmission side boot is torn, so we'll do that while we're here too. All right. While we're here, let's see if we can bust off that axle nut. Something I wanted to show you about that. I'll get in here for you. That baby's turned. Trash truck. Anyway, that thing is turned. I'm guessing that maybe this nut has been reused, and maybe that's why they tell you not to. I don't know. Kind of weird. Be kidding me. Damn it! You know what? We're going to use our handy electronic torque wrench here, just because I'm kind of curious to know what it takes to break that away. So while this thing gets calibrated, starting, I will point out that I took these bits of rubber hose and I like to put them over the wheel studs there, and then I can put my breaker bar or my long handle in there, and I don't have to worry about damaging the threads at all. So I don't know if that's helpful. Sometimes I have to do this if I don't have anybody around to help me tighten the axle nuts by stepping on the brake, but I always try to get somebody around to do it anyways. So let's see if we can get this thing undone. Well, that was 156 pounds. Must be nice to have one of those big mega torque wrenches that'll just bust anything off and you never have to do this kind of shit. Well, that's 170. Well, let's try coming at this from a different direction. Let's see here. Let's see what we get now. See the size of that bar I'm having to use? I don't know if this is gonna work. This may have been a lot easier if I had left the strut in. I didn't anticipate this as being a problem. You see that? Ah, fuck me. Now this ended up being quite the chore. The air impact made it easy, but man, that little Milwaukee impact just would not touch it. And like you saw, 200 foot-pounds. I mean, I was putting everything I had into it, and it wouldn't budge. That was an absolute nightmare. I don't know what that bar is, but man, I keep finding uses for it. It finally came off. I guess I'm looking at it now. This nut had tightened more somehow. Not really sure how that would happen. Or they just put it on there with their giant impact. That thing saved the day, old school. I don't know if you could read that. 425 foot-pounds, and I've got it running on whatever the maximum of my compressor is, 125 or whatever. Phew. Well, fortunately, I don't have to take out the axle on the other side. It was just this side. But mistakes were made. Undo the axle nut before you pull out the strut and help keep everything stable. That thing had a well over 200 foot-pound breakaway torque. I mean, everything I had with that torque wrench didn't budge it, so. Alright. No use in crying over spilt milk. The shit's out. So we got the rotor on the other side to pull, and then that and all the struts can all go down to the shop. So let's go do that. Got our hook again. Pretty tight in there with you guys, in the spirit of putting things back where they go so they don't get lost. Right, so now. Right there will be fine. Ah, fuck. Alright, so with that we're ready to load everything up, take it to the alignment shop. Alright, see you guys when I get back. Alright, so we've got replacement pads and rotors for the rear. Now, we had gone through the history of the car, and we know that the fronts were dealt with relatively recently. And so there's not a lot of point in changing out parts that are perfectly good. And so now, there was really nothing wrong with these rotors, at least as far as I was aware, but they weren't very pleasing to look at. And so somebody had put the coated galvanized silver rotors in the front, and I thought, those are rotors that I like anyways, so may as well just replace the rears with something that is very similar, just to give it some continuity, that kind of stuff. I don't know where I was. For some reason the GoPro just decided to turn itself off. It does that. So that nut didn't end up too bad. We'll just put it back in place for now. Now we get to focus on these ones. You know, this Teardown long-handled half-inch ratchet I got is sure nice. This nut is the hardest to get off, in my opinion. So if it were me, well, it was me, and that's how I did do it, but I'd start there. You don't want to get the rest of this off and then not be able to get that one off and then have to put it all back together, especially if you need the car on a deadline or something. All right. Let me get you set back up. Folks, let's try to wedge something up in here. Hopefully without hitting you. You tuck right in up on one of those legs of yours though. Oh no, you're gonna get hit. Here. There we go. Jeez. All right. These nuts and bolts are tight. Again. Alright. Slap that baby back in. Can't get this nut out. There we go. I mean, that thing was right on the verge of stripping. I'm glad we got a bunch of replacements. You know? You guys see that? Yeah. So you can't see that it's almost stripped out, but you can see it. Okay, so while we got the jack under it, we're not going to be able to do what I wanted to do. Get you repositioned here so you can see what's happening. I have to move your focus just a little bit. There you go. See if we can get you back on a little bit. This is interesting. I want to see how much deflection there is in this long-handled wrench here. Make sure you guys can see it before I do it. Oh, fuck. Nope. Ah, fuck. I hate working on cars. I genuinely don't know why I do this. Well, she's officially fucked up now. Well, that's interesting. You guys can't see. Yeah, see how round that is? That 17mm fits on it fine. This 17 don't fit on it at all. I wonder if I could beat it on there. Step back for a second. Make a lot more sense if I got rid of this arm, huh? Let's see if we can. Nope. baby. You know, I go back and forth on whether or not gloves are needed, but in this instance, I think it is. Alright, so we're starting to get movement in this thing now. See if I can even get this thing out of here. Well, maybe for another day. I'll put that nut on there for now. Phew! Alright, so one more arm to get off. Sure could use another 17mm right now. We had to break out the My First toolkit in order to find another 17mm that was half-inch drive and not a deep. For once one went okay. Ba-deep, ba-deep, ba-deep. I don't remember quite how this goes, so we're just gonna slam it in there and we will deduce it later. Well, I got you here. Tear these off now. That's good enough for now. We're just gonna leave those caps here. Okay, let's go to the other side. So getting that other side done, and not doing it to camera really allowed me to fly through this. Kind of had an idea of what I needed to do. There's not really an order in which you need to do it, but there's an order in which it kind of makes it easier to do. So, you know, again, these aren't really how-to tutorials because I'll be the first to tell you I don't know what the hell I'm doing. These are more how not to tutorials. And here I'm getting some B-roll for you, but the footage ended up not coming through. There's a small plastic piece up near that upper control arm, and I had thought that if we removed that plastic piece, we might be able to get better access to the nut that's on the rearward side of that arm up there and on the inside, you know, the one I just took off. And there's a bunch of fuel lines and stuff underneath that plastic piece, so access is limited. And of course, because the garage door was open, there's going to be a neighbor coming through. My buddy TK lives down the road. There he is, shows up in his Mercedes. Every time he comes around, he's always complimenting me how, you know, the work that I'm doing and how good it is, and it always seems to be followed up with, "Hey, will you work on my BMW? Will you work on my Mercedes?" Something along those lines. And I just tell them I don't have, the sense of humor that I have in my toolbox is not the right size for working on German vehicles, unfortunately. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me.